Today's High Performance Podcast is brought to you by Josh Phegan Digital. It's where you'll find our revolutionary blueprint course. There's only one place that you can go from zero to hero over a weekend by watching the incredible blueprint. It's everything you'll need to be that $1 million agent. Prospecting, listing, negotiation, and growth. Broken up into short 15-minute pieces, skip to the content you need now or watch from the beginning to end. Only on Josh Phegan Digital. Welcome to High Performance, the podcast featuring Josh Phegan and Alexander Phillips. Alexander, one of the things that I think a lot about is about, role model versus common enemy approach. And there are a lot of agents that are out there that are literally playing the David and Goliath game where they want to try and take someone out. Yet I think there's an interesting thing about becoming that role model is about, driving your own competitive spirit to really be able to do what you do and do it really well. And I think about, how am I going today to do better than what I did yesterday? How can I be better than I was last week? And I can be better than I was last month. I can be better this month than I was this time last year. How important is it to get that competitive edge? Like I know that you've got an old Michael Jordan documentary, I think that you've watched from time to time, to drive that competitive spirit in your mindset. Tell us a bit about, was that always in Alex Phillips' psyche, or is that something that's continued to develop as you progress?
It's probably happened from when I was younger with having four brothers and a sister that, who was always going to, get the seconds first or, win the game of basketball, after school and whatnot. So there was always, competitive drive, who was going to get in the best sports team, that was probably where it all came from. Then obviously from my father as well, who was a car dealer. So I think, competitive edge is something that you've got to, I don't know if you can, it sort of gets, for me, it came from, my upbringing. I don't know if you can learn it or you've got to want it.
But you love watching sports, right? Like if you go to a live event, you get to see some basketball, or you're here and you get to see some rugby, like why, or tennis, why do you love seeing those people play at their best?
Because they're there, they're trying to win, they're trying to be the absolute best at what they do. Yeah. I've seen a lot of the men's tennis finals like Nadal and Federer, and you look at those guys and they've been at the absolute top of their game for so long. What gives them that edge to be at the top of the game? Obviously, physically they are, but mentally, how do they do that for so long? It's such a hard thing to be able to do. But it's also they're always trying to strive to get better and better. Even if you've won 21 Grand Slams, how do you win 22, 23 when you're at the end of your career? What do you need to do to stay better than that 22-year-old coming through the ranks who's going to try and take you down? What do you do to keep ahead? And that's sort of how I think about where I am in my business as well, to make sure that I'm still the best of the best. But I can't rest on my laurels and work with what I've got. I've got to keep getting better, and that's the way I look at our business and my team.
I saw a recent commencement speech with Roger Federer over in the US, and it's kind of interesting because he said, at the end of the day, I've won 80% of the matches that I've played, but can you tell me how many of the games I've actually won? And the number was only 54%. So he said the margin to becoming the best in the world was only winning 4% extra than the other person on the other side of that court. And so when you start to think about it, I always say to people, what do you get paid for coming second in a listing presentation? 0. So it is about winning. And it's about presenting you at your best and making sure that you can go to perform. Now, that competitive spirit, I actually think you can develop it if you make the decision to say, I want comparison to drive my initiative and drive my motivation rather than to drive my insecurity. So, sometimes I hear people go, when you come today, don't talk anything about Alexander Phillips because he's doing too well. I'm like, are you kidding? I'm going to talk about Alex all the time because I want you to think about what his rituals are, what his routines are, what the things are that he puts in place on a day-by-day basis around his daily directions meeting with his team, his conversation around, market research, what's been listed, what's been sold, who does that impact inside of my database, the calls and the momentum that comes off that, and the competitive spirit to want to get to 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to maybe even 5 appointments in a day, and then backing up and doing that again and still having a good home life and getting home at a reasonable time and making all of those things happen and actually having some holidays and getting that planning. And I think, Alex, the challenge for a lot of people that they've got a mindset that maybe they were sold this ideal that they were going to work for 48 weeks a year and have 4 weeks worth of holidays, and they're not good at taking holidays, and so they're not good at slowing down and they're not good at speeding up. And this is really the skill, I think, that the greats are always on, and literally the people that are not yet great, that are on that journey to learning how to be that, they've got to learn how to turn it on. And I think that this is one of the great skills, is that your ability to be absolutely in the zone is the thing that absolutely makes the difference. Alex, if there is one thing that you do, is Alexander Phillips ever get flat, a bit demotivated, a little bit off the scale? Like, are you human? Is there a human part that sits in there at some point?
Always. I can, what sort of gets me over that is the excitement of what I have to look forward to, which is either a holiday or a rest or whatever it might be. So.
And you're known for a good music playlist as well. So I'm tipping that if you're not quite in the mood, you put on some good music.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll change that mood and that energy. And
exactly.
I think that, like, literally, there's a great thing. You go and have a shower every night because you wash away that day. And the next morning you get up, you get another chance to play.
Exactly.
And how do we go and play at our absolute best?